Welcome back, guys. Another KSMA video, and oh my God, what a card! UFC 281. I think that was the best card of the year. I know everybody says that after every single card, after every big card, that's what everybody says. But I legitly think that this was the best card because not only did it have the superstars, it brought the fights. I mean, almost every single fight on this card was either an insane knockout, an insane finish, an insane fight. This card delivered. But anyways, let's get into the main event, or not the main event, the main card. I'm sorry, Dan Hooker versus Claudio. I thought this fight again. I predicted it. I thought Dan Hooker. I think he has only one thing to fight for. There's only one thing on earth that man has to fight for, and that's that little sweet baby New Zealand girl he has. And he has to make the money for her. He has to give her that life, and he puts that work in every day. And I think he was on a money hungry, getting the biggest fights that he shouldn't be taking section in his life. You know what I mean? And I think he was just trying to get all the money as can, trying to get these big fights, and he was losing a lot of them, not like in the big ways too. And I think this was the fight where he comes back and he really showed it. And props to Dan Hooker, much respect. I knew he could do it. I predicted it, and take it away, Goomba.
Yeah, I mean, I admit when I'm wrong, and I was totally wrong on this pick. I honestly thought this was a fight. This was like an example of the UFC giving the young prospect a name for himself for beating the guy. Claudio, I thought he was a killer. I really did. I thought he would mix up his ground game, but add a little striking in so Hooker didn't know what was coming next. But all I saw was him trying to get the roll the whole time. Every time he was doing these little submissions that weren't working. It worked the first time. He got him down, almost got the leg lock. But then after that, Dan Hooker knew it was coming. That's all this dude had. He had no striking. He was like scared to open up and strike. So like I didn't think it was gonna be
Okay,
like that.
yeah.
I thought he was going to strike a little bit with them too. I didn't think he was going to be scared to strike. And then Dan Hooker, once he started hitting him to the body, you knew it was over. He did not
I
like.
think it was that veteran presence in the octagon too. You know what I mean? I think it was just like Claudio might have been like, this guy Dan Hooker has been with the Killers. He may not have beat them, but he's been in there with them.
I don't think Claudio was ready for this moment. MSG open up a main event, main card on a pay per view. I just don't think he was ready for the moment, and it showed. It showed he really didn't look ready. His game plan was really not good. If that's another thing, I'd reevaluate if I was him and his coaches. The game plan that was, I don't know what went up there, but once those body shots started landing, the fight was over. He went down. The refs just stepped in. The fans were booing every time he hit the ground. Like Dan Hooker, respect to Dan Hooker. Props to Dan Hooker. He looked good. And I'm looking forward to Dan Hooker's next fight, which probably will be February in Australia.
Yeah, and then so into our next event, it was Frankie Edgar versus Chris Gutierrez. And before I even say anything else, I mean, in our video, me and Ryan said it before. We both picked Chris Gutierrez just to run through Frankie. We both love Frankie. This was really a terrible way to see him go out, but it's kind of also a way every in my mind. I thought everybody kind of knew this was the way he was gonna go out because he went against Sandahagen, got clipped by that knee, and like he's just been declining. He's old. I feel like everybody knew the outcome of this fight. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Everybody knew the outcome of this fight. Am I wrong, Ryan?
Oh,
Everybody knew the outcome of this fight, and then it was a good first round by Frankie. I think he did good in the first couple of minutes by keeping the range. He landed a couple. I think he landed one right, and but it was a couple of jabs. It wasn't crazy, and Chris Gutierrez was really controlling everything, and then boom, just peeks in with a knee, absolutely flatlines him. And oh my lord, I was jumping on my chair, screaming, and also heartbroken at the same time. That's how the sport is.
in a perfect world, Frankie Edgar goes out there, his last UFC fight, legendary, goes out in his home state, New York, and he goes out and beats Chris Gutierrez in a perfect world. But MMA doesn't care about that. UFC doesn't care about any of that stuff. So what happened is Frankie Edgar went out there. Yeah, he looked good a little bit. I mean, I didn't really think so. I wanted to see him honestly see a little wrestling, but he never got the chance. And Chris is a killer with the leg kicks, his striking. We didn't see the leg kicks that much, but Chris is a killer. And once that knee landed and Frankie went out cold, it was just like you expected that to happen. You expected Frankie to go out there and not get this win because it was more of a Frankie fighting a young guy and this young guy getting the name for himself. A good example. And Frankie, we all wanted him to go out there and get the win, but that's just not how the sport worked. It's not like other sports where you see a happy ending. This was not a happy ending for Frankie Edgar's career. But when you look back at Frankie Edgar's career, you will look back at a legendary career of a dude that went out there. He got the belt at a certain point in his career. He had those legendary fights with Gray Maynard. That's what you'll look at with Frankie Edgar's career. He is a Hall of Famer. He will be in the Hall of Fame for the UFC one day. It's just a shame how this all had to end for him. It's a shame. But respect to Chris, great win. Frankie, UFC Hall of Fame's next for him. That's all I gotta say.
And yeah, one thing and this fight, I gotta say again, yeah, like I said, like we were both saying, Frankie Edgar, great career, legend. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame, that's for sure. Just really when. Um, Sad way for him to go out. But what I don't like about this, I know we all love Frankie Edgar, but can we talk about the knockout? Can we talk about how sweet that knockout was?
Was
Nobody's talking about Chris Gutierrez's performance, and that's what I don't like. Nobody's talking about how Chris Gutierrez went out there, went out with a solid game plan. Everything was on point. Literally a beautiful knee straight up the middle, puts Frankie lights out, but nobody wants to talk about that. Everybody wants to talk about Frankie Edgar's retirement as they should. But I don't think people are talking about enough about that knockout.
no, I mean Chris, it was a good knockout. Not talking about it because it's a legend. They don't want to talk about it, but
They don't want to, but we got to talk about it. That was a sweet knockout, perfect up the middle knee. I'm excited for Chris Gutierrez. I'm excited for what he can do next. But anyways, let's get into the people's main event. The people's main
and
event.
let me start off, please. I got this because I want to start off personally because I know what's gonna happen. So before we get into this, let's talk about the fight. I don't want to say anything. The fight, we all knew this was going to be pure violence. You could not tell me this fight was going to be bad. I would have bet 10 out of 10 times this fight would have been amazing. And this is fight of the year potential right here. The first round we go in starts off a little slow in the first 2 minutes, but then it opens up. Chandler is landing on Dustin. Chandler almost finished his Dustin. That's what's crazy. And then Dustin, he always fights through adversity. It's hard to knock out Dustin. Not many people do. He hasn't been knocked out since the Michael Johnson fight back in 2016. No one really does it. He comes back. He lands a swift right to Chandler. In the last few seconds of the round, Chandler goes down. Chandler's hurt. Dustin's pounding off on him. End of the round. Dustin stole a second round. What did I say to you, Kevin, before this fight? If Chandler uses his wrestling, he can win this fight. He can win this fight. And what did you see in the second round? Tell me.
I saw recklessness. I saw him trying to put on a savage show for the UFC crowd.
No, no. In the second round, you saw a Michael Chandler that used his wrestling. A Michael Chandler that knew he had the advantage in the wrestling department. And he did. That whole second round was dominated by his wrestling. You could honestly say it's a 10-8.
Savage Michael Chandler. Savage Michael Chandler. He was a marauder that whole fight.
That is the Michael Chandler that will get to the belt. Not the first round Michael Chandler. The second round Michael Chandler is the one that can make a run to the belt. We saw a good Michael Chandler in the second round. Then what do we see in the third round? A sloppy Michael Chandler who makes a terrible mistake with that sloppy takedown, and he's on the ground with a black belt on his back, like you see in that picture on the right. A black belt on his back leads to the choke, sloppiness. So all that's what burns Chandler, sloppiness. Second round Chandler, that's his potential.
Are you done yet?
That's his potential.
Are
Second
you
round.
done yet? Is it my turn?
And don't let Kevin trick you here. He picked Chandler. Don't let him trick you.
Okay. All right. So finally the Stalinist Ryan himself is out of the picture. So now you're talking to the real one. So, and going into this fight in that first prediction video, I said that Chandler was gonna. I thought that was my prediction. He was gonna win this fight, and I thought Dustin would have a lot of opportunities. But I thought Chandler was gonna win this fight because of his wrestling. And this is what I was battling going in, but before that fight, is Chandler gonna be that crazy berserk Chandler, which we've seen at least 90% of the time since he's been in the UFC. This dude has been a marauder, just going blasting people. He'll get blasted just to blast you the same way. He is throwing nukes, this guy, and what a fight it was. Going to that fight, the first round, I thought Chandler did really well. I thought he was sticking to the game plan, and I thought that's what he needed to do, to stick to the game plan throughout the fight. And then in that second round, this is what I thought. I thought after he clipped Dustin, Dustin wasn't really in it because he even said before, or what was it, after the I believe it was the Oliveira fight, he said he doesn't know if he loves his sport anymore. He doesn't know if he loves this sport anymore, and that's a red flag for any MMA fan, entrepreneur, anybody who's in the MMA community knows that's a red flag. And that's what I saw in Dustin. I saw Dustin going out there, being money Dustin, fighting, being present, knowing what he's doing, but not bringing the fight to Chandler. And then once Dustin got clipped, and oh my God, Chandler slammed this man's. I thought I was watching a WWE fight. I was out my chair, jumping, screaming at the top of my lungs when Chandler would pick him up and toss him on the ground. I was screaming. I was legit screaming in my house. I was so excited. And I think that's what woke up Dustin. That's what woke up the dog out of Dustin. And then in that second round, the shots started landing. The blood started flowing. Chandler, I believe he got another takedown. Dustin popped right back up. And Dustin just started like obliterating him. And then Chandler, he goes out like a berserker, which I think is terrible for him. I think he needs to fight way smarter if he wants to win a championship belt. But we'll get into that in a little later. But right now, I think that's what lost him the fight. I knew Chandler was going to come in either being a berserker or a strategy artist, and he came in as a berserker, and that's what lost him the fight. If he doesn't get that knockout in the first round, Dustin does that all day to him. The dog came out of Dustin, and you saw what Dustin does.
Second round Chandler was the
And,
champ.
and, and also to go back on that,
Second
also
round.
go to back on last week. Uh, all my KSMMA fans, I did you guys dirty. You should follow me at Kevin_Jowers on Instagram, or obviously KSMMA on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube and TikTok. But you should follow us because I did change my mind and I actually did put in a parlay for Dustin. It may be hard to do. I did change my mind a couple days before the fight on my last week prediction. I should have let the fans know about that. I didn't. That's
I
on me.
I should
From
also
now
let
on, I will let the fans know about when I change my parlays because I need to make sure you guys win money because you guys would have won money. All the people listen to me, I'm sorry I let you down.
I
But
should let the
here,
fans
I'm
know.
not gonna let you
I
down.
should let the fans know he was on a call with me, said it's a win-win situation because if Dustin wins the fight, he wins money. If he loses the fight, he can come on here and talk. He knows it too. But that's the story for another time because we're getting into the next fight, baby. Sean Wei Lee. I'm from China. Remember me against Carlos Forza. Sean Wei Lee going into this fight. This is the fight I said I don't even think it's a fight you have to worry about if you put it in a parlay or anything. I thought Sean Willie had this in bag, the bag. I didn't think Carla Sparza posed any threats to her. Sean Willie's wrestling is very good. She went to Henry Cejudo's camp last year and she worked on it. Her takedown defense good. She was stronger than Carlos Sparza. You saw it. Anytime Carla tried to do anything, she did anything she wanted. She's better on the feet. She was faster. You just saw a better fighter in this fight. And then eventually it gets to the ground. And everyone's talking about the ground all week. Oh, Carla gets her down. It might be interesting. No. No. It gets to the ground, and Shanwa Lee chokes her out with a crazy sick submission. Carla Esparza did not look like she wanted to be in this fight. This was another great win for Chana Lee, who has the belt now for a second time. And it's going to be interesting to see who she fights next. But man, what a great performance from her. I really don't got much to say other than amazing performance. Job well done. And I think she's going to keep this belt a little longer this time.
What did I say, Chaos Family? What did I say last week? What did I say? Put it down in the comments. Put it word for word what I said last week. I said Wei Lee would walk through her like a shadow. And that is exactly what she did. She murked this girl. Absolutely. Carla Esparza, honestly, I don't think she deserved to be in the ring. I think she literally got there off of a outrageous, boring fight against Rose Namajunas. I do not know what Rose is doing. But that's the only reason why she got here. And I just knew Whaley would run through her. And that's exactly what she did. There was not one realm in the game where Carla Esparza outdid Whaley. Whaley outstruck her. Whaley out kickboxed her. Whaley out wrestled her. Whaley out jiu-jitsu'd her. Whaley out kung fu'd her. Whatever you want to call it. Whaley outdid her in everything. Got the finish as she deserved. She's a champion. But I do not think it's done for Whaley. I think Rose is still a very vicious competitor. I think that Carlos Esparza fight was a low-key a fluke. I don't know what was going in Rose's head particularly that night. I really didn't. I didn't watch too much media following up on that. But I just think Rose versus Wei Lee, they got to run that back for a third time, right? Yeah, they got to run that for a third time. That's the only fight left in that division, really. I mean, that's a big money fight. It's the only fight in that division.
Run it
They
back.
probably both want to fight each other too. I don't see why Rose wouldn't want to fight Whaley right now, and I don't see why Whaley wouldn't want to fight Rose. So I think that's the big money fight to make. I say slap that on a O2 card, maybe with Edwards and Usman, or if not, throw that on another stat card around that time frame. But I love that fight coming up next.
Run it back, please. We all need to see it. Willie versus Rose 3. Run it back. But I'll let Kevin take us into the main event to start off. So it's all yours, buddy.
So main event time. Wow, wow, wow. Alex Pereira. Wow, wow, wow. The power on this guy is outrageous. I mean, holy smoke. So let's go. Let's start from the first round. I had Israel going through this fight. I really had Israel dusting him, getting a first, second round knockout. Um, but going to that first round, Izzy controlled that round. Ended the first round, absolutely clipped him. Pereira had googly eyes walking back to his corner. It literally reminded me of Whitaker and Izzy won after the first round. Remember when Izzy dropped him right at the buzzer? You remember that? That's literally I literally had a flashback of that in this one. There was 5 seconds left in that first round. Izzy would be and still right now. I mean, one more shot on Pereira after that round, it would have been absolutely fucking lights for him. But that's not what happened, is it? So we go into the second round. I think Izzy's maintained the distance, absolutely picked them apart all the way until round four. Izzy literally destroyed him this fight until round four,
5.
or until round five. I'm sorry, until round five. So when we get into round five, start going back, and then I keep seeing Izzy on the fence. This is what I thought was brilliant from Pereira. Much credit to Pereira's team. He kept backing Izzy on the fence. Izzy was on the fence mainly the whole fight. Izzy's known for controlling the center of the octagon and putting the opponent on the fence. Whole almost 99% of the fight, Izzy's on the fence, kind of like Silva, dipping and dodging. But when Pereira lands those jabs, there are nuclear missiles. Izzy was taking nuclear missiles for 4 rounds straight, which was not smart. I really don't know what was going through the New Zealand kickboxing team by just sitting on the cage, taking punches. And then, as we all know, towards the end of the fifth round, Izzy really got blasted with a shot, started getting wobbled. Izzy was definitely wobbled. He kind of tripped over a little bit. He didn't get dropped, but he tripped over, got back up, started getting pieced up, and this is where it kind of gets sketchy with the stoppage. Personally, I do agree it was slightly early of a stoppage because if you're having a championship, this is a championship level fight. I honestly think I don't care who it is. If you're a championship level fighter, you fight until the death, the death, right? Until somebody's KO'd or TKO'd to the point where they're on the ground wobbling. When there's a champion for the past 4 or 5 years reigning this division, and he just got popped, and he's not fully he's not knocked out, but he's kind of wobbled on the cage, and he's bouncing, dipping, he's whiffing some shots. He takes one more clipping, and then the refs comes in and stops it.
Sure. No.
I don't really agree with that. I thought it was early stoppage. I mean, let the man go out on his shield if he's the champion. If this was a 3 round fight on the prelims, and these are up and coming fighters, I would agree. But I really don't agree with the stoppage. I know Israel had something to say about it too. Israel even said he didn't agree with the stoppage. He agreed with it in a way where his body language and everything. But Israel even said in an interview how he was really looking up, like he sees vision. He's looking up, seeing if his knees. He's still in the fight, dipping and dodging. And it also kind of reminds me of when Chandler had Oliveira on the ground in that first fight, and Oliveira's on his palms, ducking and diving. Mark Goddard could have stopped the fight there, but he didn't. So and also we want to go
Timeout.
into another thing in the Gastelum fight. The most knockdowns ever in a UFC championship fight was Israel Adesanya against Kelvin Gastelum. He knocked him down 5 times in
Timeout.
that fight, blooded up. You could have argued to stop that fight at the end of that round. So I really don't
Timeout.
agree with the
Done.
stoppage.
You're done.
And I do respect Israel, or not Israel,
Done.
Alex Pereira. The dude has power, right? The dude has power. You
Done.
can't underestimate the dude's power. The dude's a striker.
You done?
I think, yeah,
Timeout.
I am done. I am done. Completely.
Timeout.
I'm
Once you
completely.
start talking about stoppages, it's over. It's over. It's over.
Are you gonna keep talking or just be like this? You frozen? You frozen in time, my boy?
No, but you know who wasn't frozen like Elsa, like Izzy said to Alex? Not Alex. Alex didn't get frozen like Elsa, but let's talk about the fight. What did I say to you before this fight? I said Alex is going to be the one to pressure Izzy, not stand back. And you said, Izzy? You said to me, Izzy. And I said to you, yes, that's his fighting style. He's going to come forward in your face. He doesn't care. He's going to knock you out. He's going to come for that knockout. And he did that. Number two, what did I say? I said I could see Izzy winning 4 rounds and then getting clipped in the fifth round. That's what's so great about this sport. Anything can happen. And what happened? What happened?
It's still your turn. I'm waiting for you to finish your segment.
What happened? He got
This is
he
the
won four
most shit
rounds.
segment. The fans are
He
literally,
won four
yo,
rounds and he
everybody
got
watching
clipped
this
in the
video
fifth.
is literally fucking yawning.
He
Let me
got
get back
clipped in
into
the
this.
fifth.
The
He
the
got
the
in the fifth. And let's talk about it. So Alex Pereira, man, is a killer. Going in the fifth round, he says, I will kill you. I will kill you. He knew he had to get the knockout. His mentality is, I'm going to go kill this guy. And in the fifth round, he went in, he went forward. His corner said, you got to go get the effing knockout. You got to get the effing knockout. And he went in there and he went to the fifth round. He pressured Izzy. He clipped him. He clipped him. Izzy fell. He got stumbled up. Izzy was hurt. 3 minutes left in the fifth round. Izzy's hurt. He's getting landed on. We're saying that's an early stoppage with 3 minutes left in the fifth round? Come on. Do you want to see him get sent into the shadow realm? Is that what you want to see? Do you want to see him get flatlined? Is that what you want to see? Or do you want to see him live to fight another day? What do you want to see? You tell me. You tell me. What do you want to see? Because he was hurt. He was not recovering from that shot. You know it. We all know it. That's the fair stoppage. I'm sick of this narrative that that was an early stoppage. Izzy himself even said, him and his team agreed that was a fair stoppage. Yeah, he also said he also tried to argue a little bit. Pick your side. Pick your side. But they're going to fight again in April, March, whenever this happens again. They're going to fight again. It's going to be ran back. And maybe that will show us more options, but enough with the early stoppage, please. That was not an early stoppage. Don't put yourself in that position in the fifth round if you don't want that to happen. And we're running out of time here, so if
No,
you
no,
don't
no, 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 no. We got all the time of the day. No, no, no,
2
no, no.
minutes
Shut
left.
the fuck
We
up.
have 2 minutes left. So
UFC 278. Kamaru Usman
total
versus Leon Rocky Edwards. First round. Domination from Leon, not
what's your
Rocky.
point?
That domination from
What's
Leon
your
Rocky.
point?
Second round domination from Usman. Third round domination from Usman. Fourth round domination from Usman.
Oh my,
Fifth round flash knockout.
what's your point, buddy?
My point is, it's all about the return. It's not about what happens the first time. It's about how the whole fight went. The whole fight was a cakewalk, cakewalk. Just like you want to talk about Uzi. If you want to compare two fights more than ever, and it's kind of crazy how they're a couple of months apart. It's this fight. It's literally these fights. Leon Usman and then Izzy Pereira. These are the most two comparable fights in forever. The champion is dominating 95% of the fight, and then the contender
Tough.
gets his one moment where
That's
he
tough.
shows where he dominates.
That's tough.
And then in the rematch, there's always a rematch. The rematch is when the king it bubbles up inside of him and it just over.
Alex has beaten Izzy 3 times now. What are you talking about? It's totally different. Alex has
Um,
his number.
Yeah, you can keep saying that like a casual.
It's not a casual
If you
statement.
want to
It's
be
a fact.
legitimate,
No matter what you want to say,
the first time they fought in kickboxing, it was a very controversial decision. And in the second fight, Izzy was dominating the first two round. Another again flash knockout. Yes, Pereira won that second fight in kickboxing, and now we're in MMA, a completely different sport, a completely different era of fighting, a completely different company. And then now
and
at a
Alex
completely different level, now they're fighting at the highest level of the game. And Izzy was absolutely dominating for 25 minutes,
was not
which again
dominating.
is way longer than any kickboxing match. And Pereira caught him. It was a very controversial decision. And then he went on to that second fight, won the first two rounds, and he dropped Alex twice in those in the first two rounds actually. And then again got flatline clipped because he has that nuclear power. He always has that option. He always has that option just to nuke you. And he literally proved that in the Izzy fight. And I saw all fight. He was getting touched up by that jab. Like the power difference was there. Izzy's not known for having power, but he's known for having the angles, and that's what gives the power. Once you hit a person on the angle and they're not knowing it, it puts them out flat. But again, I thought Izzy won the fight again. Pereira, props to him. He did a really good job. His corner really did a good job of firing him up going to that fifth round
I
and getting that knockout secured. And I do not think it goes the same. Again, Usman Edwards, I think Usman dominates him. I think it's the same way here. I think you see a long reigning champion take his first lick, takes it like a man. And this is the thing too. They don't take it like they take it like it's nothing. That's the scariest part about it.
I agree with you on that, but here's the thing: Usman Edwards, totally different story. Usman probably dominates that fight just based on his wrestling, unless his chin's non-existent after that. But I don't think so. This fight's totally different though because Alex will always have that power to put you out. That's why it's totally different this fight. Alex is always pressuring him in his face. When I'm watching this fight and Alex has him against the fence and he's getting this close every time, you're like, wow, next one he's getting it, next one he's getting it. And for 25 minutes, Izzy has to avoid that shot. That's why this is totally different because if he lands one shot and Izzy gets hurt, this fight is over. This fight is over because you're hurt and you're seeing a little blurry, you're out of it, and Alex is throwing a punch at you. You're in for I mean, that's not something you want to have to
Yeah,
deal.
yeah, no, so you say that like you're, but what about Kamara Usman? Like, is that not a factor?
I don't think. I
The
think that's
power,
totally
like
different.
what? You're
I
not
think
saying
that's
you're saying
totally different.
Edwards doesn't have power.
I think that's totally different because
Yeah,
In the Usman Leon fight, Usman's going to out wrestle him. You're not going to see this. This fight will always be
it may
standing.
be a little different stylistically, but overall, it's not really that different at all.
But Leon, I know Leon has power, but he's not a guy that's going to go and knock you out with his hands a lot. He knocked Usman out on a leg kick that would put anyone out in this world.
I
You
mean,
didn't see that with the punches. You didn't see that with the punches. So that's why that fight's totally different. And Usman's going to, I'm telling you now, fighting in Leon's hometown, he's going to shoot immediately because it's just going to be a scene. But that's the
all right,
story for another day.
let's get
Story
away
for
from that.
another
Let's get
day.
away from it. Let's
This
get away
fight's
from it.
totally different because it's going to be standing for 25 minutes. And you mentioned, I want to come back to this actually, because you said, I'm going to come back to this moment. Izzy's going to use his wrestling. Who shot for the takedown first and who landed the first takedown?
Pereira.
Thank you. Alex had more success with the wrestling. And then, yeah, Izzy got a takedown of his own later in the round. But who shot the first takedown? Who landed the
No, no,
first
no, no, no,
takedown?
no. But
Where was
before
this
you go, no,
wrestling
no.
that you were saying all fight?
Where's the wrestling? How about round two when Izzy literally controlled him
It
for a
wasn't
whole
round
round
two.
straight?
It was not round two.
What was it, round three? It was
It
really
was
round
round
two.
four, I think. It was round four. Yeah,
Mm,
or round
mm,
three or four. It was not round two.
I mean, we could both be off like, but I think I don't think so. I think it was either round two or three. I forget how it went to the ground. I know Pereira went in for the first like little takedown, but Izzy controlled him on the ground. I think it was the second round for the whole entire round because Izzy was going. He was up a lot.
Alex was gassed.
Exactly. That's why going to the fifth round, everybody thought that's why I compared so much to the Usman Edwards because going to that fifth round, just because the other opponent had that one decent solid round, the all other three rounds were by the champion. It was a slaughter, and it was the same thing in the fifth round. Again, comparing them in both fights again, and it was in comparison to the Edwards fight, it was literally a one shot. It was within 2 seconds when the fight ended. But if you want to compare it, it was probably within 20 seconds
That's what's
when
so
the ref
great.
stopped it.
That's what's so great about the sport. You need
Exactly. I know that's what
25
great,
minutes.
but you can't say that's a dumb comparison to make those two fights
I'm
next to
not saying it's a dumb
a very
comparison. I just don't think it's a fair comparison because it's two
that's a
different
completely fair
styles, and
comparison.
Usman's gonna go for the takedown. But Alex Izzy,
Stylistically, no, but in the
you
situation, in
you wonder,
situation wise, it's a extremely fair comparison. It's almost
you,
identical.
you wonder if Alex just has Izzy's number. I saw the meme. Izzy's gonna go golf. Alex is golfing right after him.
I said that to
So
you.
I mean, does Alex is Alex just has his number? You wonder. I mean, we're gonna find out this spring because this is getting ran back immediately. You know that.
Immediate. I mean, there's no honestly, there's no way you don't make this fight because there's really no other fight to make in that
No,
at the
exactly.
top of that division besides this one. And this is gonna be a money fight. You know, there's gonna be way more people tuning into this fight because it's like, oh my god, Pereira has his boys numbered now for real, for real.
This will be the main event in April. That's my prediction. Not March. Leon's gonna headline the O2 card. April. This is your main event right here.
But I'm just curious. I want everybody to think about this before I end this show. Think about this before you go to bed. If there was 30 seconds left in that first
If
round,
it's an if,
if it shoulda, woulda, coulda, if, who,
it's an if.
whenever.
You could have if
But
that. You could if that.
in La La Land, I just really want to know what would happen if there was a good 20 seconds left in that first round. But besides that, thank you guys again for watching. Great episode, great fight card. I know we always say this as MMA fans and MMA media. This has to be the best one of the year. This has to be the way this card delivered, the fights on it. I'm sticking by this one. But MMA is just great. Getting ready. We got Yuri coming up soon. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get that one out soon. I mean, I don't think we'll disagree on the main event for that, but who knows? Who knows? I mean, Kevin may try to switch his pick up last second,
The
but
last second try 3 days before we recorded the video about a week before the fight. So
that's a story to be told for another day.
it really is.
April, this is your main event right here. Will Israel Adesanya get his redemption, or will Alex
This
go
is
4-0?
this was a fluke.
Be determined. To
Fluke.
be determined. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you guys soon. And peace out. Have a great day.